It's been a few weeks, so let's take a quick tour of my moon garden and see what's blooming or in color, well, color white, for a moon garden. Stay tuned, we'll do that right now. Let's take another tour and see how the birdcage garden, also my moon garden, is coming along. I've got some things cleaned up. I've had some stuff come and go for flowering, but let's take a look at what I got. So the first thing you notice is this Dame's Rocket, which self-seeded. It's considered a weed in my zone, but I let it go because it's so beautiful. It blooms for a couple of weeks, and it's really at the end of its growth, and I'll probably cut it out and move on from there. Then I have this little white columbine. This is called Early Bird, and she will actually continue to flower. If I deadhead her, she'll flower again in I think late July or August. So it's kind of a nice little white columbine. And then my newest edition of clematis is this one right here, which is white, but it's got a little bit of pink and purple in it. This one is called Sealand Gem. And you can see from the colors, I mean, it's just really kind of a pretty clematis. And then I started getting some of my pots ready. I just got some annual pots that I put together with some different variations of flowers and foliage in them, all again with kind of a white theme or a silvery theme. I'm actually going to plant some more of those columbine along here. And then I had a nice surprise over the winter where this is Dusty Miller that actually survived the winter in Zone 4. Didn't know that was possible. I think I pulled the other ones up. I wish I wouldn't have, because that's nice if they're going to come back every year. And they get pretty big. These were almost 18 inches tall, so we'll see how that does. And then for those of you watching for my wisteria, it's just started to bloom. This is my blue moon wisteria, and it has just started to bloom. I'll get out of the light. It's got just a little hint of purple in it. And it's really fragrant. I got a lot of different blossoms coming. And there's some up here too, because I started training it on the trellis. So what I found is interesting is that it only came back for the vines that probably grew through the end of July. And anything that continued to grow, which would have been greener, fresher wood through the fall, that did not survive. So that died back. So that is an interesting little tidbit for growing in Zone 4. But it's going to be quite gorgeous. I'll come back again when I got it in full bloom. On this side, I have some different clematis as well that's coming. This one's probably only a couple days away from blooming. And then I have this topiary arborvitae. I have some other arborvitaes. I think I'm going to do some more topiaries because I really like them. And then just overwinter them. And these are my Patriot blueberries, which I grow in containers. And they've got quite a bit of growth on them already. And I think it's interesting because you'll see people say, you have to have these huge containers. This is only a 3-gallon container, and it's going to produce some nice berries. And if we look at my other ones as we go down the line here, this might be maybe a 5-gallon container. And you can see it's just full of berries. I need to come back and do a prune on some of these to make sure I can get more berries. But look at all the berries on this one too. Let's go through and count how many clusters. So this is one 5-gallon pot. This plant is 3 years old. And it's been in this pot for, this is the 3rd year. So I've got a cluster here, cluster there, cluster here and there, another one there, some bigger ones underneath, one here, one there. I bet I've got 10. I mean, some of the clusters are pretty good size. And I water it every day. You can see these, some of these are looking a little small. So I did a good fertilizer in the spring, but it seems to be working for me. And then this pot's a little bit the same size, and this plant's shorter, but look at how full the berries are. And I'm just going to have to make sure I do a lot of watering because it is in such a small container. But if you didn't want to have a huge container, like a lot of people say, this is proof you can do it in a smaller container, which I think is convenient for growing on a deck or patio. Continuing on, I have a clematis here as well. This one isn't blooming yet, but look at this one. This one is just amazing. This is Daniel Deronda. And it is huge. I'll put my hand next to it. You can see how big it is compared to my hand. And it's an interesting petal on it compared to other purple clematis. Again, Daniel Deronda. Of course, I can't forget to mention Francis, who is my new garden statue for the year. And he is taking center stage inside of the birdcage gazebo. Let's look at the interior of the gazebo. I'm going to go into the light. I apologize for that. To go up so you can see all the different flowers that I've got coming. Hopefully you can see them. I'll try to do it from a different angle. Not quite into the light like that. But as far as flowers going, I don't know if you can see them all. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got at least 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I got 15 flowers that look like they're going to bud up here. I'm probably missing some. Maybe, oh, there's even more. There's over 20. So when this gets to be a little bit more in full bloom, I'll do another tour so you can see how this looks. And fragrance, oh my goodness, they are so fragrant. I highly recommend trying them. But they're very aggressive, so you want to have them kind of in their own spot like I do on this arbor in the middle of my yard. We're in the middle of a drought right now, and this is my weeping cherry, and it's alive but not happy. I had spider mites, and I just actually had to treat it. So hopefully it will survive, and I'll fertilize it really good and keep it watered, and hopefully she recovers for next year. But spider mites have been just terrible in my zone. Again, I'm outside of St. Paul. I just recently took the cage off my Ann Magnolia. And if you watched my pruning video last year, I pruned it from the bottom because I'm trying to make it more in a tree form, because I want this space to have, I want to be able to walk around and mow around in this space, and I don't want the shrub to be in command. I really want it to be a higher canopy, and so that's why I've pruned it like this. I know they're beautiful on the ground, but it's just not going to work in this space for me. So that's why I pruned it. And I had beautiful blossoms, and I had it caged to keep the deer off them. And then last year I was able to get a blossom in July as well. It bloomed a second time, so I'm hoping I can do that again this year. And I have these 2 little beds as kind of the entrance of the side of this garden. I had boxwood in here and I did not like them, so I changed them out to a different type of mock orange. This one is called Sparkles, I believe, because the leaves themselves are actually variegated. So that's really cool. So I am waiting for that. That'll take a couple years to grow, but it'll be really nice to have that as a full hedge. And then I added, my husband wanted these, I added a sting, which is really tall and skinny, arborvitae to each side of this. So there'll be like 2 columns coming into this garden room, really tall and skinny. So I think that's really cool. The sting arborvitae only gets 1 to 2 feet in diameter, which is probably the thinnest one there has been. We'll see how they do. I'm pretty somewhat sheltered. I get some wind, but I have other areas that I think that'll do okay. If I have a problem, we'll put a piece of rebar down just to help support it. Because sometimes when you get these really skinny arborvitaes and they don't want to hold up into a strong wind. So it'll be interesting to see. They grow 1 to 2 feet a year, so we'll see. It'll take a couple years for it to take off. I'll water the daylights out of it and fertilize and see how we do. My main border at the back of the moon garden, I've had the tulips and the daffodils I've came and gone. They're all done. And then we have peonies that are coming in. And of course, these beautiful tricolor dappled willows are really center stage right now. And when they start kind of dying back, then I will do a heavy shear on them. But for right now, I like the movement in the garden. I've got a lot of comments when people come to visit about how beautiful they are. So I know they're too big for the space, but for right now, I'm just going to leave them. Let's go and take a look at what I've got coming. I'll try to get out of the sun here. All right, so I've got some beautiful peonies that I put in last year, or peonies, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And so I've got one here. That one's coming. This is a limelight hydrangea coming along. And then I just replanted a mock orange. I had a mock orange in there last year, and I need to get some more mulch on that. But this is going to be really nice. It'll fill in that space. This is going to be a tight garden with lots of things in it. I've got some also white lilies coming, and then I just got done cleaning up. I had some dieback on my moon glow junipers, and I just did the cleanup, and they look pretty good. Some of them are a little tilty. I'm going to probably lift them and straighten them out maybe with a stake. I just planted these last year, and they were really large plants or shrub. They were really large shrubs, and I've had other moonglow junipers that were more columnar. This variety, for whatever reason, wasn't. It was a little bit thicker, and I'm okay with that because I want it to be a solid border. The other things that I have in here is the white diamonds bleeding heart, and it's a fern leaf bleeding heart, and you can see just how absolutely gorgeous that foliage is. It's really pretty. It gets quite a bit of sun here, and it does quite well. Again, I'm in zone 4. The next thing I have are my powwow white cone flowers. I had 3 in here. I'm down to 1 that's alive. No problem, because I actually collected some seed and tried to grow it from seed, and I actually was successful. I have some babies coming, so I'm curious to see if I can get them to flower this year. And then I had a really beautiful iris. I'll see if I got a picture. Hopefully I took a picture. I'll paste it in right here. It was so pretty. It was like a white with just a really light lavender, and so it did really well. And then I've got a white. I had 3, but it looks like I'm down to 1 white delphinium. And hopefully I got some more in the nursery that I grew from seed, because I'm trying to collect the seeds to create more of what I need in the perennials in white for this garden. Here, as I come through here, I've got this little flower that I got last year. I put this in. It almost reminds me of a woodland phlox, like a white, almost a white or a light lavender, and I cannot remember what it's called. Let's see if I can find the name. And I put the cage on it. I had such terrible bunny pressure. This year I'm doing better because I rehomed about 15 rabbits already. Then we come over here, and oh, look at this. Look at that. This is my very first white poppy. And she's not quite open all the way. Look at the burgundy, if you can see that. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. Look at the burgundy or the purple throat on that. It is just absolutely gorgeous. I can hardly wait till they get open. I've got a few of them, so when they open up again, I'll do another tour so we can see just how beautiful they are. This one is called Royal Wedding, and I really love it. This is a white lilac, which I will also prune into tree form. I'll have to come back and cut it and take cuttings and do all that stuff. I just haven't had a chance to do that yet. You can see how crowded it's going to be. Again, I did that on purpose. I wanted instant impact. And here I have another white peony that's coming along, and this one's really quite big. So again, probably another week, I'll have maybe 3 days, I'll start having peonies open, and my poppy should be open, and it'll be really kind of a nice show. I've got this random crabapple tree in here, which is pink. I'll probably dig this and relocate it to a different part of my property, but for right now it's there. And then I have other lilies and other things I'm going to put in this area. The one thing that's nice about having your spring bulbs and leaving them in is it gives you an area where you know where you have space to put other things. So you know where to plant. I've got other things I want to plant in here. I got more lilies, like I said, I want to put in. And it's just nice to know. And I had such terrible bunny pressure. That's why I have some cages with nothing in them, because they're between the deer and the bunnies, it just was terrible last year. So this is actually a white balloon flower, which I was really excited to get too, because that's just, again, continuing my white theme for the moon garden. I think that is going to be perfect. And then I have another limelight hydrangea on this side. So again, I'm in June here, early June. So the peonies are going to come into their own. The poppies are blooming right now. And then when the poppies are done and the peonies are done, then these hydrangeas will kick in. And then I have hopefully other delphiniums and things like that that I can fill in. But you kind of get the idea. So if you have a moon garden in your yard, let me know which white flowers you're using. I'm really curious what flowers people use. I know I'm in zone 4, so it's going to be a little different. But some of these plants are just so gorgeous. And the color white at dawn and dusk really does stand out. Let me know. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.